We're awaiting today's White House press briefing where Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt will get that underway in about half an hour. One of the big topics for that briefing will be the government shutdown. In just under an hour, senators will cast a series of votes to see whether or not they can reach an agreement to stop the shutdown and get the government back up and running. Now, importantly, this vote has been cast over and over and over again, Alicia, and it's been Democrats who have been the holdup. You need several Democrats to come on board. So far, they've only gotten 3. This is a clean, continuing resolution, which has passed 13 times, I believe it was, during the Biden administration, CRs over and over again. They're typically not controversial.
No, they're not. And folks aren't hopeful that things are going to go well by the end of this week, which ends today, and that the Senate's not going to be working over the weekend as well. I will give credit to Speaker Mike Johnson, which I want to call a professor at this point, for standing out there. Did you see him out there today? And he's got charts, and he's trying to very meticulously and simply explain the process, because he understands that there are a lot of Americans who are very confused about what is going on here. And he was asked on NBC this morning about 4 polls that show Americans are blaming Republicans over Democrats for the shutdown. And his answer was yes, because they've been listening to mainstream media and they don't understand the details here.
Yeah, the details are important, Griff. I watched Mike Johnson meticulously lay this out on Special Report. He just, fluidly, it was like section 2142, and that was the section, I'm looking at it here, would wipe away the safeguards that Republicans put in place in the big, beautiful bill to ensure that Medicaid money did not go to non-citizens. That would be wiped away in what Chuck Schumer wants to do.
And why did Republicans put that in there, Kayleigh? They did it because there were millions of illegal aliens across our border, were paroled with some legal status, and then took advantage of that benefit for Medicaid. And when I was covering the border, we had thousands come across in small towns like Eagle Pass or Del Rio. What happened to the hospitals there? They were overwhelmed and paralyzed, and the American citizen residents in those towns couldn't get basic health care. And so Republicans are trying to fix that right now. But I do think, to the point that Speaker Johnson was trying to make, saying that we've done everything we can to get you to the table. Come back, vote yes on a simple, nonpartisan CR, which would keep the government open until November 21st, and let's address your health care subsidy issues and see what we can do. Thune and Johnson have both said, we'll talk to you, but we won't talk until the government opens back up to save 750,000 being furloughed and however many thousands it could actually be fired. At the end of the day, I think the thing to watch are Democrat senators like Shaheen, Hassan, Peters, looking at you, are you going to change and finally agree with not the 2025 Chuck Schumer, who shut the government down, but the 2013 Chuck Schumer, who gave a speech about the politics of idiocy that a government shutdown was?
You might have to keep looking at those, so-called moderate Democratic senators for a while. We'll see how long they can hold it. Donna, a point on the law here. Democrats, I've watched them over and over again say, look, it's illegal under federal law for illegal immigrants to get health care. That is true. As a defense attorney, you know very well there are many things that are illegal under federal law that are violated, perhaps by some of your clients who you've defended. So the point Republicans are making is, in practice, there are illegal immigrants who got taxpayer dollars with health care, and we rooted that out with the big, beautiful bill. You're looking to push away those safeguards.
Yes, and that's exactly what they're trying to do, to get what they wanted before the big, beautiful bill passed. And now that shouldn't happen. And I think in the short term, to the points of these polls that are showing that, some are blaming Republicans, in the short term, they may look at it that way because the Republicans are in power. But I think overall, it's going to be more detrimental to the Democrats in the end. And when the elections do come in 2026 at the midterms, I think that they're going to have a problem if they continue to push this, because a lot of other things that they don't want to be cut may be cut now. As we're waiting. It's
true. And we look, Harris, politically to see if, Chuck Schumer, this solves his problems. He's got that AOC chomping at the bit, maybe a primary challenger.
Yeah, nothing solves Chuck Schumer's problem. I mean, the power of the far left over Chuck Schumer is enormous, apparently. Look, a couple things. I had on Senator Markwayne Mullin of Oklahoma last hour on the Faulkner Focus, and he told me that there are a number of Democrats, and he was suggesting far more than the 5 that they would need to stop the shutdown, who behind the scenes want to then vote with Republicans because they see, and you use the right word, Griff, the idiocy of where they're going. They are asking for $1.5 trillion in spending on top, brand new spending to spend over the next 7 weeks if they sign the CR when it would expire and they would have to then vote on something else to happen. So that's a bribe. I mean, that's not existing things. That's not the big, beautiful law, as I call it. That's not what that is about. That's extra money. That's cash up front. This is crazy. This is really crazy. And the American people see it. And I agree with you, Donna. They may not understand all the workings of it because there have been a lot of confusing messages out there about Medicaid, so on and so forth. But 2.3 ineligible recipients, whether they are people who were perpetrating fraud or abuse with Medicaid, or the 1.4 million illegals receiving benefits that were intended for American citizens, you pull all that together, that's what was in the big, beautiful law. And that's what Democrats want to flip. Plus a bonus, some sweetener, $1.5 trillion on top.
A lot of money. That's trillion with a T.
Doubt.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.